I'm gonna look off camera,
Okay.
and then look up.
A little dramatic pause.
Why, hello there. I'm Tarek Patel.
Did we wake him up or what? Hi, I'm Randy Rosenblum, and this is SoCal Prep Report. A little bit dramatic, White Card.
Days of our lives, man. I'm trying to get the role.
Yeah, well, we've got dramatic football. Of course, we had some huge games last week. One in particular we want to kind of break down for you. Modern Day traveling to Las Vegas, rolling the dice, and winning the game against Bishop Gorman 27-24. This was a game that really dictated Modern Day having the opportunity down the road to stay in the national championship picture after losing to Corona Centennial.
Yeah, and it was a good bounce-back game for Coach Raul Lara and his Monarchs because, look, you lose to Centennial. I think they had 6 or 7 turnovers. Clearly not the best game they've ever played. So now you go on the road, and I think the best thing for them was going on the road. And an aspect of it that was a business trip, less distraction. Let's get on the bus. All the kids have their headphones in. Sure, you can have a little fun on the road, but for the most part, when it came to game time, it was easier to lock in because there's less to worry about when you're at home. So I thought it was a really good sense of character for the Monarchs. They get a narrow victory. And I do think, though I think Bishop Gorman is good, Randy, I think it was another indicator that Modern Day isn't the juggernaut we all think they are.
I think it's too early to tell. It's an impressive victory on the road. I think what's interesting here is Modern Day has beaten that Gale team all 5 times they've met. They always seem to be very competitive, close games, especially in Las Vegas. I think it's a thrilling, great victory. And a couple things happened in this game. Let's go over it. First, the development of Ryan Hopkins, transfer quarterback for Modern Day, playing big in a big game.
Yeah, he threw, I think, a couple touchdowns to Mark Bowman, a couple touchdowns to Chris Henry Jr., so he did look good. I thought there were moments. Look, the opening touchdown of the game, I believe, came from Bishop Gorman. They were down 7-0, Modern Day was, and they were able to respond and take the lead. So, again, good character building and maybe even a confidence builder. How often do you say, wow, Modern Day, this was a good confidence builder for them? Because they're always at the top, but, they needed that after a loss. So I'm excited to see what they do with the rest of it. That being said, I actually think, and I don't know if we're talking about this later in the show, but a little teaser. Are we talking about Santa Margarita Gorman later at all?
Santa Margarita Gorman, we are.
Okay, then I'll save it for later.
If it's that good, you can present it right now.
No, I just think Santa Margarita is going to beat Gorman.
It's possible.
I think it'll show that maybe Gorman isn't as good as we all think, and that equals Modern Day isn't as good as we all think. That's what I think.
I don't like
a lot of thinking.
Comparing scores. You get into this and that. No. Last week, that was a huge win for Modern Day.
Yes.
A big win for the Monarchs.
I think psychologically it was a bigger win than anything else.
Bowman, the tight end, Mark Bowman, going to USC, had not really been in the aerial attack for Modern Day throughout the first few games. I think that's a huge development. He's not only a great blocker, but now integrating him into the offense makes Modern Day's offense that much better.
I agree with you, and to be short, I think there was an emphasis to get him the ball more, and look what happened. I agree with you.
It's good to have Tarek agree with me. A little later in the show, we're going to have point-counterpoint. I don't think he's going to agree with me there. He will agree with me that Sierra Canyon is playing great football. Over Olu, 41-9. The defense of Sierra Canyon so far has been impregnable. You can't get by them.
Whoa, impregnable, my gosh. It's a child's show.
It's your time. You're on.
Sierra Canyon, yeah, I think, listen, when you play an Olu team or a Trinity League team and they don't score an offensive touchdown, that's actually happened twice this year. They beat J. Sarah 35-0. Obviously a shutout. And then Orange Lutheran, their 9 points came off a short field goal and then a blocked kick that was returned for a touchdown. Their offense literally couldn't do anything. So I think when you look at Sierra Canyon, and especially Rod Sherman, the coach at Olu, said he thinks they'll be in the Division I final. So high praise.
Tell us about this running back. We haven't talked about Jackson Stokes much. He had 3 touchdowns for the Trailblazers. In fact, we don't talk about their offense enough because they do score points. Laird, the quarterback, is playing well too. But Stokes, what kind of player is he?
I think he's a rising junior that a lot of Power 5, Power 4 now conferences in college football will be after. He's a little smaller, but man, he packs a punch. I'm going to almost give him like kind of a Warwick Dunn. I don't know, remember Warwick Dunn type, Florida State, Falcons type player, man. Makes you miss in a phone booth, can catch it too. And once he gets into the secondary, he's got lightning speed. So he's got a lot of touchdowns, and he actually runs with power too.
I did a one-on-one interview with Warwick Dunn. Great kid at Florida State. I just want to throw that in there. You're the one who brought up the name. I mean,
it's
who
great.
would have thought that
I asked you if you knew who he was. I didn't know you guys were buddies.
No, I didn't say we're buddies, but he was. Warwick Dunn was a great player. St. John Bosco is the #1 team in the country, and again, they flex their muscles, dominating the team from Hawaii, St. Louis. And again, St. Louis is the top team from the state of Hawaii. Bosco continues to roll. They had a great win earlier in the year against St. Francis Academy. Madden Williams is averaging 25.5 yards per catch.
Yeah, St. John Bosco right now it gets the #1 nod in pretty much every poll out there. I think for a couple polls, maybe they had Gorman up there, but that's gone now that they've lost to Mater Dei. So the Braves keep rolling. I think that's a team that is just #1 simply because they started in the rankings so high, and you have to just give them the #1 nod because they haven't lost. But that's another team that does look somewhat mortal this year.
So is Mission Viejo. We didn't know if they were mortal or not, but they went to Tennessee, and it wasn't a good trip going to the South. McCallie knocked them off 25-14. A lot of people called it a stunner. Were you surprised?
Not so much. Listen, if you look at Mission Viejo, they've had some really interesting. Their 3 games, the last 3 games, they were against Folsom, against Lincoln, and then they have to travel and play this school from Tennessee. So out of section, out of state competition, you got kids, you're getting on a plane, they're tired, man, they're a little beat up. I'm not exactly surprised they lost. I think they'll be fine.
Is it too much? Are we asking too much of these programs? We're seeing Bosco play a national schedule, obviously Mater Dei, Mission Viejo traveling all over the country. It's wear and tear on your team.
Yeah, I think so, but that's why, you have the bye week and you can get some rest in. So that's what's happening a lot this week for so many programs out there. I think Mission Viejo, I think they have to play Chaparral this week, which is actually a decent opponent. But yeah, I think they'll be fine. And look, at the end of the day, for most of these programs, win or loss, you want to give those high school athletes a great experience. And being able to travel and play football is certainly a special thing.
Depends on the turbulence on the flight, how good the experience is.
Yeah, that too.
Going to Tennessee could be a long trek. How about this one? Corona Centennial, no letdown for the Huskies. Yeah. They continue to play outstanding football. Rancho Cucamonga, losing record, but a pretty good team. I think the underlying factor here is the fact that Centennial didn't let down after the Mater Dei win.
Right. I actually spoke to Dominic Catalano, the quarterback, after they beat Mater Dei, and he told me, man, as great as this win was over Mater Dei, we can't let it be the pinnacle of our season. We got to keep moving forward, and so for them not to have any type of emotional, psychological, or even physical letdown against Rancho Cucamonga, who has played a very, very tough schedule this year, was a promising sign for the Huskies.
Are we overlooking Los Alamitos?
Yeah.
Ray Fenton's team is 6-0. How good are they?
Yeah, and they're going to go 7-0 because they play Calabasas this week, and I don't think that game's going to be close. But Ray Fenton, man, talk about one of the good guys out there coaching high school football, and got a chance to talk with him a couple weeks ago. They have a running back who also plays DB named Lenny Ibarra, who's kind of their all-world, do-everything type player. And such a nice kid that's going to go to West Point, if I'm not mistaken, and play football. So good quality student athletes, good coaching, and the last ad, kind of back to basics. Los Alamitos has been known for having some high-level 4-star, 5-star guys, and it not really panning out. And Fenton, I think, is getting back to just more neighborhood kids, and it's working out.
Are you concerned they gave up so many points?
Look, I don't think Los Alamitos is going to be some juggernaut in Division I. They're going to be in Division II and be really, really good. So they actually can't play themselves too high. They're not perfect, so I'm not too concerned about it. I think they'll be right where they need to be come playoff time.
Well, we're seeking perfection on this show. How about Oscar Rios? He's back, one of my favorite quarterbacks in SoCal. Downey. In fact, he threw a touchdown to his brother Jesus in the final seconds to win the game over Inglewood 21-20.
Yeah, pretty cool. I think Oscar Rios is certainly a name that everyone knows about here in Southern California. He's been dominating it through the air in his arm for at least 3 years, and so he's finally a senior. He's going to Arizona. Nice to see him eke one out. Inglewood is kind of had to restart. They're young and rebuilding. But a quality win for Downey, especially I think their last game before the victory was a thumping against Sierra Canyon. So it was good for them to get back in the saddle and get a victory.
Same for the Eagles of Eagle Rock. They've struggled defensively, but there's no struggles offensively. Paston, their quarterback, is tremendous. Had another big game, throwing for 5 touchdowns. 56-21. Taft had come into this game unbeaten, 3-0, but now the Toreadors suffer their first setback of the year.
Yeah, and this always seems to be a theme for the city section is, like, for example, on Friday, we've got Cleveland. I know we're going to talk about that more. Cleveland's playing Crenshaw. Crenshaw's 3-1. Cleveland's 1-3. Crenshaw might even be 4-1. But point is you can't look at the wins and losses. You got to look at who these teams are playing. So you're saying Taft was unbeaten. Eagle Rock might have had a losing record coming into the game, but they've played a much tougher schedule, some Southern Section opponents, and fallen short. So for me, when you look at a city section team, you got to look if they're battle tested or not.
I put this in to the show, this score, because he was right,
yeah,
and I was wrong.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I'll admit that occasionally I'm offline. I thought Banning could compete with Palos Verdes.
No shot.
I thought Palos Verdes would win the game. I didn't expect 52-0.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, I did. I mean, 52-0. No, I would have said, I don't know, 35-7 or it's almost like it almost doesn't make a difference. But I knew it was going to be lopsided. Again, Palos Verdes you're talking about a team that's played Sarah Gardena. They played some really high quality teams, and so Banning comes to town. And generally, Banning is a team that doesn't exactly air it out. They like to play. They're like a Big Ten high school football team. They come with a lot of players. They want to come with a lot of beef and run the game, run the ball. Not a lot of versatility. So you run into a Southern Section team that knows how to stop one thing and tries to force you to do something else. You're going to lose.
Another Southern Section team, lower division, like about Division 11, is Santa Paula, the Cardinals, and they took it to Narbonne on our Brett Stye Game of the Week. And there was big play after big play early in the game. Here's a long touchdown pass going to Carvath. And this was on the first possession. It was actually the third play of the night. And number 0 was able to take it in. The quarterback was outstanding. Renee Vega ends up throwing 4 touchdowns in the game, all in the half. Here's another one to Sebastian Mendez, who went off in this game, scoring 3 touchdowns. Mendez was terrific. He had a special teams touchdown as well. And here it is. It's a block. You can see number 5 picking up a scoop and a score. This is always an exciting development for a player, especially in prep sports. And you got a feel for Mendez. You got to imagine the ride going back to Santa Paula about 100 miles after catching another touchdown pass right here. 3 touchdowns in the first half for the senior Mendez. That had to be a wonderful time for him.
Yeah, he's going to tell his grandkids one day, I was live on TV and had 3 touchdowns against Narbonne, and you want to know who was on the call? His name's Randy Rosenblum.
No, he's going to tell his grandkids he had 5 touchdowns. 3 in the first half, 2 in the second half.
Yeah, that's
I will
funny.
say
and Joe Buck was on the call.
Yeah. I will say this, Narbonne outscored them 8-0 in the second half, but again, Santa Paula pulled a number of their starters. So at least they pulled back a little bit, and it was a pretty entertaining second half as well. All right, let's take a look at some of the top performances last week in prep football in the Southland, and there's always great performances. We'll start with Gavin Gray, the QB at Agoura, 440 yards, 6 touchdowns. Oh, he did it to the Bulldogs of Buena.
Yeah, Gavin Gray is a young man with a great story. He is coming off injury from last year and has a lot of expectations his senior year, and he's meeting those expectations for Dustin Croik, who's one of the good guys out there coaching high school football.
He's the best guy.
Yeah, Croik's awesome.
Croik is a great
like a real just dude out there coaching high school football. And the Chargers are good, man. They've got some really good players, so Gavin Gray is one to watch.
He really is. I do want to mention Tuaniga. I mean, 9 touchdowns in the win over Cabrillo. That's special. You can't beat that. Then there's Thaddeus Bro of Hamilton. We're going to talk a little bit more about him later in the show. 402 yards, 6 touchdowns over Rancho Dominguez. Quentin Pacelli, running back, had a big game for Garden Grove. 380 yards is ridiculous. And Jack Norman, wide receiver, DB, 5 receptions, 232 yards, 3 scores, and a pick 6 on defense. Tesoro doesn't want to have to do any more work against Jack Norman.
Yeah, these are great standouts. Thaddeus Bro, a freshman, and then the gentleman from Milliken High School, freshman. So 2 freshmen there on the standout performances. Nice to see before you go into league play.
All right, let's talk about the CIF Southern Section top 10 Actually, in truth, Tarek puts together a top 25. We showed the top 10 teams. Bosco, number one, no great surprise. I see you've elevated Sierra Canyon, and you have Mater Dei to fourth. Do you really think they're the fourth best team, or are they, because of their record, you have them at fourth?
Well, I think Sierra Canyon is playing better than, I would even argue, maybe even St. John Bosco, but there's kind of a respect level there. Until someone knocks them off, Bosco's going to be number one, Sierra Canyon number two after what they did to Orange Lutheran. And then Centennial you have to keep above Mater Dei because they beat them. I mean, that's just how it goes. So I dropped Margarita down, but when I come up with my rankings, Randy, I always think about what's coming ahead. So, for example, let's say Santa Margarita beats Gorman this week. That's an opportunity for them to rise up, and I'll have to figure out how I want to stack these guys up. But for right now, this is a solid top 10.
You know what's interesting about the top 10? A lot of Trinity League schools, which is no shock. We see that every year, week in and week out. But there's Damien in there, which, you got all these major schools, and Damien's in your top 10.
Well, I think you have to look at not only are they 5-0. So look, I think it's not exactly rocket science. As other teams are losing, you drop them. As teams are winning, you bring them up. Damien's beaten Rancho Cucamonga. They've beaten J. Serra, and then they beat Tustin, who just knocked off Yorba Linda, who was previously unbeaten. So Damien isn't just 5-0. 3 of their wins are really, really good. So they absolutely deserve to be in the top 10.
Speaking of top 10, the LA City section has its top 10. This is Max Preps puts this one together. Birmingham is still ranked 1, even though they're 1-3. And again, they're playing a Southern section schedule. Carson, Pedro, Banning, all out of the Marine League. Then the Palisades team that offensively is gifted. And then you go all the way down to the 10th team, King Drew, that's really an improving team. I like Venice. They've played a tough schedule. I think they're going to be tough down the road, the Gondoliers.
Yeah, this top 10's a little interesting to me. I think Max Preps, it's all kind of computers, and there's no human element to it. I think to me, Hamilton probably needs to be in this top 10 somewhere. Palisades is basically the number 2 team in the city. You could even argue the number 1 team in the city, so how they're 5 is beyond me. But, they're not playing great teams. Again, that's kind of how the computer sees it. So this is more of a strength of schedule top 10 than really the teams. And that's okay. It'll fine-tune itself down the road.
Franklin's another interesting team. They always play great offense. They're fun to watch. They air it out. But they're in the Northern League, and we don't hear a lot about the Northern League except for Eagle Rock, who is another team that scores a lot of points and gives up a lot of points. So there's great entertainment in the Northern League. I don't know how great the football is, but offensively, the games are fun to watch. All right, you know what time in the program it is. It's time for a point, counterpoint. I always defer to Tarek to go first. And our topic today, who is playing the best quarterback position right now? Not necessarily down the road who might be the top player in years to come, but right now who's the top quarterback performance-wise in Southern California?
I think for me, I'm gonna go low-hanging fruit. I'm gonna stick with Luke Fahey of Mission Viejo. We ask ourselves who are the better arms in the Southern section, and he might be the best arm, and he's playing the best. Okay, they lost one game on the road in Tennessee, but the teams that they've beaten, he's been really impressive. So I'm gonna go Luke Fahey. However, I want to give an honorable mention to Dane Weber from Chaparral. Does it with his legs and does it with his arm. Really, really good player for the Pumas, and I believe he's only a junior, so keep an eye out for him.
I'll give my honorable mention first. Jack Thomas of Palisades.
Good one.
16 touchdowns, no picks.
Good one.
But number 1 right now is a junior, Oxnard Pacifica, Taylor Lee. Listen to these numbers. I told you Thomas had 16, 0 picks. Taylor, 22 touchdowns, no interceptions. He threw 8 TDs alone against Rio Mesa. He's thrown for 1,300 yards. But the biggest factor, he's hitting 85% of his passes, and his football team is undefeated. And you got to love the fact he walked on campus as a freshman. Everyone thought highly of him. He sat for a while, played a little bit last year as a sophomore, was not the starter, takes over mid-season, last campaign, comes back this year improved. He also can run the football. He's got the escapability, but nobody has been better than Taylor Lee. He's been on our great performances week in and week out. Taylor Lee has been the man, the top quarterback for me in SoCal in 2025. And that's point counterpoint.
Yeah, he's a good one. You had some good names there. I like that. Lee and Jack Thomas. Those are some good names.
Yeah, a little city love for Jack Thomas.
I mean, Thaddeus Bro's doing pretty good in the city too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him in a moment. We already had him on the board as one of the great performances. He does that every week.
He's going to be an all-city performer as a freshman.
All right, some top games in the Southland this week, and I know, Tarek, you wanted to talk about the Santa Margarita Bishop Gorman game. You think it is the best game. You think it is, and it really is the best game.
It is. Everyone's on a bye. The matchups aren't that sexy this week. Let's just call it what it is. And that's going to be a Saturday night game.
See, I'm saying impregnable, and you're saying sexy.
Yeah.
We got to be very careful.
Yeah,
on
but
this show.
impregnable. Something about impregnable comes. I don't know that one. That I never even heard that word on live television. You heard it here first on LA 36. But my point being, Saturday night will be the game to watch for high school football. I think it's also kind of, Saturdays, for college football, and there'll be a lot of college athletes in that game.
Mission Viejo and Chaparral.
Yeah, first one to 50. I mean, this is going to be a big, high-scoring game, I think. Someone's going to score a lot of points, and I think it's likely going to be Mission Viejo. Though Chaparral, I'm thinking more, man, this could be like a 52-40 type game.
You let the cat out of the bag earlier on this one. You don't think Calabasas has a shot against Los Alamitos?
No, man.
Calabasas is mightily improved.
Yeah, and I love my guy Kerry Harris, the coach out there, but it's going to be, that game will not be close, and I hate to even say it like that.
You think
but
it's going to be a running
Remember when
clock?
you were like, Palos Verdes, like Banning? It's going to be kind of like that.
So I'm going to have to give you credit on this game next week.
Well, I mean, that's only if you think it's going to be close.
I don't.
Got it.
We agree on that.
Okay.
Murrieta Valley and San Clemente. San Clemente's been pretty good over the last few years, and Murrieta Valley's improved their program.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is kind of a toss-up. I would give a slight edge to Murrieta Valley, but San Clemente's at home, I believe. So, yeah, that's a fun game. That should be within a touchdown, maybe 10 points.
Another fun game is Edison, a really good program, and Lucerna.
Yeah, I'm going to give the edge here to the Chargers. I think that's an Alpha League team in Orange County that's used to playing the big dogs like San Clemente and Mission Viejo. They know how to play big boy football. Lucerna can do it at times. Edison does it every week.
Corona Del Mar, Trabuco Hills.
Yeah, the battle for Orange County. I've got Corona Del Mar in my top 25 for the Southern section. I think they've earned it. I believe they're still unbeaten. Maybe they have one loss, but I believe they're the Sea Kings. I like the Sea Kings on Friday night.
Let's talk about Birmingham. Again, they're the #1 team in the city in the polls. They've won a number of championships, 4 out of the last 5 in the city section. At Harvard Westlake. Now, again, this is a crossover city against the Southern section game, where Birmingham has a chance to win this game.
Yeah, I think the only problem with the Patriots is they've become very one-dimensional from what I understand and read about. I haven't seen them, but they're very, very run-heavy, where Harvard Westlake, though might not have the athletes, could have a little more versatility with new coach Damian Porter. So that is a toss-up game, which means Birmingham can win it. I'm just thinking maybe Harvard Westlake might have a little bit extra flair to their game that Birmingham might not be able to handle.
I like the Patriots in this game. I think they're going to win the game.
Okay, I'll go Harvard Westlake, and we'll see how that goes next week. That'll be fun.
Have to talk about that next week. All right. What are you doing tonight? You should be watching prep football on LA 36, our Brett Stye game of the week. Southgate against Legacy. Southgate and Legacy are both in Southgate. It's live tonight at 7 o'clock. The phones are ringing off the hook.
Yeah, they're calling us.
People want to watch this football game. Southgate is the visitor here. Legacy's best player is a transfer from Southgate. That's Jason Rodriguez, the running back.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't know too much about these teams other than what you've just told me right now, but I know that they're close within proximity. They matter 2 miles. They matter. The game matters to these kids. A little bit of bragging rights going on. So when that comes into play, anything can happen, but I also think the game's going to be close.
Southgate, probably the favorite, but they're on the road here, so we'll have to wait and see. And those Rams, by the way, went to the Division II finals last year and lost a heartbreaker to Chatsworth, and I know you remember that game.
I think Southgate's going to win, so give me Southgate. I think we both agree on that.
Yeah, we do. But I think Legacy will make it tough on them because it's a rivalry game.
I hope they do. I hope they do. for them, but I also hope they do. It's a close game for the broadcast sake, because a close game is always fun to call.
Yeah, I'll be working with Seth Price on that one. And we're going to come back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Thank you, Brett Stye, for presenting these games. Cleveland, homecoming night against the Crenshaw Cougars. They only have about 23, 24 guys on the roster. You've talked about this game. Crenshaw's got the better record, 3-1.
Right.
The Cavs are 1-3 against a rigorous schedule.
Yeah, they played Crespi, they played Harvard Westlake. So anytime these city section schools go up against southern section schools, to me, I like to give the edge to a team that's seen better competition. That's Cleveland. I think the Cavs are going to win. I think we're looking at maybe 2 touchdowns here.
Oda Bunmi is the outstanding young running back at Cleveland. Moyo is outstanding. He's really been great so far. He's ripped off some long runs against really good competition. He's one of the better backs in the city.
I actually was just looking at their stats just before the show. He's got 6 rushing touchdowns already. If I'm not mistaken, he had some killer game against Arleta where he went off for like 1,000,000 yards and a bunch of touchdowns. So
still counts.
Yeah, no, it counts, but it was a lopsided game. But hey, nothing wrong with having a big play player, and expect for him to make big plays on Friday night. Make sure you tune in.
There was one game that was added to the schedule today. Oxnard Pacifica with the great Taylor Lee at quarterback, traveling all the way to Los Angeles to play the Yankees of Hamilton with Thaddeus Bro, the brilliant freshman quarterback. How glorious a matchup is this? Both teams were going to win forfeit games. Their opponents were not going to play them this week. They both had a bye. Coaches get together, and they give us a wonderful game.
I think Elijah Asante, the coach at Hamilton, is trying to play everybody, so that's not a surprise. However, Mike Moon, the coach at Pacifica, was ready to take his second bye in a row because they were supposed to play Bishop Montgomery last week, and then this was his real bye. So he would have had to sit out 2 Fridays in a row. That's basically 3 weeks almost, of not playing any football before the final Friday night comes. So for him to pick up a game, honestly, Hamilton's doing him a favor. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, and again, Hamilton likes to play everybody,
yeah.
anywhere,
no
anytime.
Question, no question. But I think
that's Elijah's philosophy.
Correct, and I think he, if you talk to him, he would say, look, part of getting players to come to his program over the next few years is showing that Hamilton plays big-time programs, and this is one example of that.
We mentioned Corona Centennial earlier. Their head coach, Matt Logan's been there a long time. He's sitting on 299 victories. Yep. They have a bye. So next week against Roosevelt Eastville, Matt's going for 300 victories, and I hope he gets it. We love the guy.
He'll get it. Yeah, he'll get it. Roosevelt's not that great, and even though we love their coach, Aaron Crone, I don't know if you remember that name, pretty good player. But, Roosevelt's on the up and up, and they're getting better, but they ain't going to beat Centennial, and so look for the Huskies to get win number 300 for Matt Logan.
Sit-out period is over in the city section. That means the transfers become eligible starting today, and in the southern section next week. So we're going to see a change in some of these teams. Yeah,
one of the big ones I think is going to be Newbury Park. They're off to a 2-2 start. They've lost their last 2 games to Oxnard Pacifica. Ironically, we've talked about it a ton this show, and then last week was against St. Pius. So look for a team like Newbury Park to add some quality and get a little better when it matters, which is league play.
Jordan Myron is the new baseball coach at Palisades. We wish him well, taking over for the venerable Mike Vogel. And before we go, I want to throw a basketball note at you because I know you were there. You had to have watched this. Sierra Canyon played Utah Prep.
Oh, yeah.
Sierra Canyon, #1 probably in basketball coming up this season. They won the game.
Yeah, new look for them. Brandon McCoy, Maxie Adams, Brandon Martinson, Dylan Grant, bunch of new kids. So they looked really, really good. They play hard, and I would say that right now in September, though it's early and the season doesn't start till mid-November, Sierra Canyon will be the perennial #1 team in Southern Section and probably in California coming in.
You can roll up your paper now. He always throws the paper at the end of the show. Remember, on the Thursday game,
they're calling us.
Depending on when you see this show, we got the game tonight, Southgate Legacy.
Camera 2.
And then tomorrow,
Camera 2.
the Friday game, Cleveland on homecoming hosting Crenshaw. He's ready to go. He's ready
I'm gonna toss this to you. And you're going to toss it back. No.
Okay.
Right here.
A little give and
back.
go?
Yes.
Right.
Oh!
The camera
with the
down.
assist.
I get a dime. For Tarek, I'm Randy. We'll see you next week. right here on SoCal Prep Report. Goodbye, everybody. You really like doing this. You're good
That's
at
a shout out to Annette, our audio
Oh, I love
lady.
Annette.
That's,
She's awesome.
If she wasn't here, that doesn't happen. I'm convinced it's the energy. When it's Gio, I never hit that.
I like Gio, but he's no Annette. I mean, Annette's the
bad
best
energy.
there is.
Bad energy.